leaders and parents to discover who they are intrinsically, their uniqueness, so they can truly and intentionally lead from who they are. That the whole authentic leadership.
Yeah.
You know,
we love that word authentic.
We love
here.
authentic. So authentic leadership, but then we really start to work through different thought processes and understand how their mind and their brain work so that they can dissolve and get to the root issue of various mental wellness hurdles and challenges to really help them start stepping into mental resilience and to be able to hold their thought process regardless of what's going on with the kids or what.
You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumph and successes of business owners across the land. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. Downloadable audio episodes can be found in the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. And today we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Molly Hildebrandt of Hildebrandt Consulting. Molly, how is it going today?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show here. Let's just start out with the basic foundation. What is Hildebrandt Consulting?
Hildebrandt Consulting is a leadership development company.
All right.
Where I facilitate leaders and parents to discover who they are intrinsically, their uniqueness, so they can truly and intentionally lead from who they are. That the whole authentic leadership.
Yeah.
You know,
we love that word authentic.
We love
here.
authentic. So authentic leadership, but then we really start to work through different thought processes and understand how their mind and their brain work so that they can dissolve and get to the root issue of various mental wellness hurdles and challenges to really help them start stepping into mental resilience and to be able to hold their thought process regardless of what's going on with the kids or what's going on with the board or what's going on with work. Any context, they can show up and be resilient and be their best selves. And then I'm a certified flow coach, so I help people determine and develop their unique process for flow, which is the optimal mental state where we are really in our peak performance state.
Oh, okay. Flow. There was a book, I believe, called Flow that I read.
There is.
Okay. I was like, flow coach, what is that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this is essentially how to get into flow, or you help people get into flow.
Yeah, we all know the benefits of flow. Mm-hmm. We know why flow is important, that it's where we're most creative, where we're most innovative. Our brain is releasing all these pleasure chemicals, and it's the best state for our brain to be, and we never fatigue. However, there's no other model that teaches people how to intentionally flow, because part of this whole model that I work under or work with helps you determine your uniqueness, and no one else has a model for uniqueness. And you have to know who you are to be able to then gain mental resilience to then be able to step into your unique process for flow.
All right. My goodness. You touched on 5 million things here, so let me think about where to take it. First one is, if somebody discovers that there's something and they want to be something different, can you help them with that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm spitballing.
Yeah.
But someone's comes to is it presentations? Is it one-on-one coaching? What kind of thing do you have?
All of the above. So I'm a keynote speaker. I facilitate interactive workshops, and I also am an executive coach.
All right. I guess through my experience going to different seminars and stuff like that, people, I guess I've gone to Tony Robbins stuff, and they call it breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Where people realize that they're doing something or believe something that is holding them back. Or they learn about a fear that they have or something of that nature. So I guess learning how to flow, maybe they're learning like, I don't even like what I'm doing or something of that nature. Like you learn how to get really good at something, but maybe you don't want to do that something, whatever that may be. So I guess my point is maybe when people are digging through going to one of your presentations, they learn something like, I got to shift into not only a different gear, but maybe a whole different car.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I work with individuals to really determine how do they uniquely gain energy, because we all do things based off of energy. Why didn't I clean the garage last weekend? I didn't feel like it. That's energy. So being able to help people tap into their unique energy source will help them then be able to figure out where do they get energy, what are the energy drains, and then be able to possibly sometimes if there's different deeply held beliefs or unhealthy beliefs that they might have, we can truly unpack that and determine, are those beliefs, are those behaviors, are those patterns serving them? Are they facilitating them in a healthy direction, or are they holding them back from something more? And then we can really help them start to make progress in an intentional direction where they are gaining energy and hopefully becoming the best version of themselves in that process.
All right. So it sounds like you have a list of where people get energy. Is that safe to say, or a rough idea? So if I said, hey, Molly, I need more energy, would you tell me, like, find a coffee, get out?
Put all these chemicals in your body. That's what I would say. No. No, although I do love me some coffee. No hate against coffee. No, we would discover and we would really discuss your uniqueness and determine who is James intrinsically, your mind and your soul. What is that unique element of you that's been there from birth, that's never changed? And this is very different from personality tests. Personality tests, let's name a few. Myers-Briggs, Insight Discovery, Enneagram, exactly.
Sure.
Those are really measuring your external behavior relative to a context. Think of the last time you took one. Let's take Myers-Briggs for example. You sit there, you've got your list of questions, and they ask you to imagine you're sitting at work. So that's a context. So now you're determining your behaviors relative to that context. The difference between that and what I do, because those external behaviors are going to change when your context changes. So that's not really figuring out who you are. It's figuring out how you show up in different contexts. What I do is I determine who you are intrinsically, that internal cause within you that is consistent and doesn't change. And I call that your intangible driver. So the analogy that I think helps people understand it is, if we think of our mind, it's like our uniqueness, and our brain is the gray matter, right? Well, I'm not my brain. My brain isn't who I am. So there's a distinction. So the intangible driver is who you are intrinsically, and that runs and operates your physical brain, which is your car. So it's that driver of your car. So I work with people to determine who they are uniquely so they can tap into that and start to let more of that out, which is where they're going to uniquely gain energy. How you gain energy is going to be different from how I gain energy.
Okay.
And so we're going to figure out who you would be intrinsically and who you are intrinsically and let more of that come out. And then as we're going through that, we'd be repairing your car and making sure that your thought processes are in order. So looking at sources of depression, which are energy drains and suppressants of our energy, depressants of our energy. Triggers, where do you lose your cool? Where do you go into fight, flight, freeze and have experience extreme energy drains? So we would start looking at these different areas in conjunction with really helping you start to hone in and live out your uniqueness intentionally as we're repairing these different thought processes.
All right. How do you find that?
Your uniqueness?
Yeah, correct.
In my Instagram profile, I work with individuals. There's a link to a quiz that you can take. My certification is through FlowSys, your unique process for flow. And they have a quiz, a proprietary model that you can take the quiz and get your results and really start to live it out. There's a couple videos. If you put in your email address after you take the quiz, you get sent a couple of videos to just start learning and unpacking more about who you are.
All right. And what are some examples of someone's uniqueness?
So I personally am what's called an exhorter server. So it's exhorter server. Oh, wow. So it's a 2-word combination.
Okay.
The first word is your why. Why do I do what I do? What's the impact I'm looking to have on others and on the world around me? And for me, that's an exhorter. An exhorter is someone who wants to encourage you forward, encourage you towards the future. So I have really big feelings. I feel things really big, really high, really low. And one way that you can connect with me and I would feel really settled was if you were to mirror my emotion. If I'm really mad, you would be really mad with me. If I'm really jacked, you'd be really jacked with me. And that helps me feel settled and feel seen and energized. And then how I go about helping people feel what I feel is the server piece is my how. It's how I go about achieving my why. For me, a server is someone who adjusts to all the 7 intangible drivers based on the need. So I'm very motivated by needs. If you were to say, hey, Molly, I need some help moving some things around in the studio. I need to do this. I would be jacked. I would be excited. I would be uniquely energized to help fill those needs because it's helping you move forward. So that would be how I could uniquely self-motivate.
All right.
That could be how I could step into energizing myself towards something. So whenever I'm feeling drained, one thing that I look for is what's a need that I can fill for someone else? What's a need that I can fill to help move someone else forward? My energy tank fills, I get jacked, I'm ready to go.
So you're feeling drained. Someone's like, Molly, help me move a couch. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm all fixed.
Let's go.
Oh, interesting.
Let's go.
Okay.
And there's different things. You know, if I'm feeling unsettled or uneasy, or I am feeling like mentally and emotionally depressed, there's different things. That would be a different approach. I would be looking at what are the depressors in that situation.
All right.
Most of the time, that would be a contradiction. That's where a lot of people, the root cause of a lot of depression comes from contradictions. So a key is holding someone to a different standard than you're holding yourself.
Fair. That
So
internal civil war.
Oh, man. A great example of this is expecting my kids to load the dishwasher.
All
And
right.
I get upset with them when they don't, but yet I justify when I don't load the dishwasher. That would be a contradiction. I'm holding them to a different level than I hold myself, and I could feel a little tick. And if it's in a small area, it might not depress me a lot, but if it's in a big area, I'm going to really feel that.
All right. All right. So where my wife knows how to open the garage door, but I feel like she doesn't know how to shut the garage door. And every time I come home and the garage door is open, I get frustrated. But there are times when I can't think of many, but for the sake of the example, let's just say I don't shut the garage door one time.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be hypocritical, so I can't be upset at her. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So it allows you to have more mercy for her.
Gotcha.
One, if
Okay.
you're going to still be raging out at her internally, maybe not
Sure,
externally,
not
literally
externally.
towards her, but internally inside yourself, that would give you a little bit more of that mercy, where it's like, I don't always do it. So I either need to give her mercy, or I need to make sure I close it every time.
What if I do close it every time?
Every single time? Then that would be
It's
more
really,
of a...
It's just like a light switch, right?
Yeah.
In the room on, out the room off.
See, the thing is
Okay.
about women.
I better take notes.
Yeah, from the neuroscience background and perspective, women, from a brain perspective, we can have up to, why don't you take a wild guess? How many thoughts do you think a woman can have at any time?
At any time.
In a
Just
health-
like,
in
take
a
this
healthy
slice of
way.
moment. For comparison's sake, can you tell me what the base is for men?
1.
Okay. Let's give a multiplier of 10.
Nice. I love that.
Okay.
Women can have up to 5 thoughts at any time and be in a healthy place.
Wow.
So chances are that your wife is thinking about the kid, your son, thinking about probably what she has to make for dinner that night, the meeting that she's on her way to, the grocery list, and backing the car out of the garage without hitting anything.
All right.
So chances are she's already there. So adding one more thought, her brain is just going to either dismiss it or overwhelm her in that place. So she might remember when she's a mile down the road, because now she's not backing out of the driveway and there's room for another thought to come onto the field, onto the court, if you will.
Interesting. So is that why women can have a conversation but still hear another conversation?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I've seen
It is
this
extremely
in
fascinating.
a keynote I was at one time, had 2 different individuals, actually I think it was 3 people, come on stage and start describing what they had for lunch in detail to each other, all talking at the same time. And each one of the women was able to tell you exactly what the other person said and what both of the other people said. And then she had a guy come on stage and do the same thing, and he was just so overwhelmed he had to
Not a
lean in
chance.
on one, and that was all that he was able to take away.
Yeah. Not
So
a
women
chance.
have these superpower brains, but the challenge is that just because we can have up to 5 thoughts, we will never flow at 5 thoughts.
Oh.
So that's one of the
there's rub.
challenges
Okay.
that I work with women on. Just because you can doesn't mean it's in your best interest. Doesn't mean that you're going to experience healthy happiness in that place constantly on the verge of being overwhelmed. Because as soon as you introduce that 6th thought, she's overwhelmed. And
All
that's
right.
where she has a breakdown or loses the cool or tears might come. That's a red flag for feeling overwhelmed. Too many thoughts. What can you as a husband or a spouse do to take thoughts off the table?
All right. Interesting. So in my business with the call answering service, the
Yeah.
word overwhelm came up a lot. Not so much now. I feel like we have a better crew. But we answer phones for veterinary clinics. And the word overwhelm, I feel like, is used every 3rd word. Where people, and that's, I didn't know this when we got into that vertical, but that is a female dominated industry. I had no idea. I guess I didn't even think about what it would be dominated. I was just like, there's pets. Pets don't care about recessions. Let's jump into that vertical. But I'm learning that word overwhelm and female dominated is very interesting. I had an employee tell me, I guess I'm bebopping here, but I had an employee tell me that she cries every night. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, what? That ain't right. And she's like, no, it helps me feel good. And to me, I'm like, what? No.
Yeah.
No. That can't be good. But it sounds like maybe.
So that's a way that her body's releasing some of that pent up tension within her. It's coming out in that way. So a great thing that she could implement in her life, and this is something that I work when I coach women, is to find someone that you can get everything that you're thinking and feeling out with every day, if possible. And now, every day can be a little bit much if, based on our schedules and our availability. So you're really shooting for every 48 to 72 hours to have like a full mental dump, if you will. Like just dump it all out, get it all out, everything you're thinking and you're feeling. And what that does is there's a part of the brain, it's our unconscious brain, and it's the 90% of our brain, which is where our energy lies, which is where our attraction lies. There's so many things, our behavior lies. All of these things live in the unconscious brain, but it doesn't know what you're thinking and feeling until you say it or write it.
Okay, so that's where journaling comes in.
That's where journaling comes in. In that situation, it would be a good best practice for every hour or two for her to keep maybe a Google Doc or some sort of journal where she could just dump out what she's thinking and feeling and be able to get back in the zone. It's because chances are she's taking on a lot of pain. We want to talk about uniqueness. Chances are she's taking on a lot of pain from these pet owners or from these other individuals. And she doesn't have a way of releasing that pain in a healthy way because she probably thinks she's causing pain to other people when she shares. So she keeps it inside, she holds it inside, and it comes out as tears when she's alone by herself and calming down. So she would be someone who would really benefit from being able to share and to process what she's thinking and feeling, to stay in a healthy thought spot. So women, generally, we want to keep us in that 2 to 3 thoughts as we go throughout our days. Obviously, if we can get closer to 1, the better chances we have to be able to flow. But that's where we're going to at least prevent the overwhelm. And then we can add an extra thought or 2 without it pushing us over the cliff.
So tell me why, if guys can have 1 thought and women can have up to 5, how come guys aren't crying when they have all of a sudden a second thought comes up or something like that?
Yeah, so it's the way that the brain is wired a little bit differently in that regard. So chances are you might just start glitching a little bit. This is something I see with my husband, so I'm not projecting this on you. I'll talk about my dear, amazing husband.
Okay.
We were working on an issue that came up with one of our businesses this morning, and we're working through one of the challenges, and he's leaving for work. He's got to drive to Milwaukee today for work. I'm driving to Sun Prairie, and we live in Oshkosh, and so we're bouncing all over. We have 4 kids. We're trying to get them all sorted. Something comes up with our business, and he's also trying to navigate a challenge. He's a life coach as well, and one of his clients is working through something. So how many thoughts? I mean, that's so many thoughts right there. So what he has to do is he has to shut them down, and he just has to focus on the one. But the minute he tries to start doing 2 or 3, he gets like, I literally call it glitchy, where it's like he starts like, I don't know what to go towards. I don't know what to think. And it really does overwhelm him, but it comes out differently for him. And it might for you as well. But that's where the glitch is like, okay, Brett, we're going to talk about this one thing. We're going to talk about everything else. We're going to do it in order. And we're only going to talk about this. Let's get the kids going on breakfast. Let's get their schedules going. They're good to go. Let's make sure your client's good to go and he's not waiting on a call from you. And then we're going to address this one issue. This is where I go into project management mode, though.
That's smart.
We're going to flip off the switches on everything. And this one area is the only thing that we're going to focus on. And we're going to see it to completion, or at least until the next step. And then that one goes off and we go to the next one. But trying to move everything forward is not going to work. So this is a strategy I work with executives on. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the urgent and important matrix at all, but essentially when things are in the urgent and important quadrant, that's burnout. if our brain stays in that space for too long, we're in our conscious brain. It's only 10% of our brain, and we're going to burn out fast because it fatigues. It's not meant to stay in that space for a long period. So what we have to do is remove the urgency and just take care of one fire at a time. And the other ones might grow a little bit. But if you see the one fire to completion, then you only have 4 fires. Then you only have 3 fires. Then you only have 2. And that's a really great strategy when things are feeling like on that verge of overwhelm.
That's fair. I guess I am similar to your husband in that way, where you got 50 million things going on. You try to focus on all, you can't.
Yep.
Everything's blurry then. So I end up writing down what are the things that you have to do, or I have to do. And it's weird because when I write them down, I look at them, I'm like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. And I think this will take 5 minutes. That's 20 minutes. This is 2 hours, whatever. And you break it down and you're like, oh, I got 3.5 hours worth of stuff to do in this order.
And that's what leads to anxiety, though, is that when you don't write it down.
Yeah.
20 things not written down feels like a million. But if you can write it down, that's when you can begin to build a plan around it. But otherwise, you just are feeling this frantic energy and you're not closing a loop on anything. So using lists is an incredible strategy.
Oh my gosh,
Look at
I love it.
Crushing it.
No, I think I'm the last person on earth to use these little yellow notebook things.
Oh, no, you're not.
Okay.
We have those floating around our house.
Thank goodness.
From my mortgage lending days, that's like all that we used.
Okay, nice. It's constant.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah, if I don't have one of those in front of me at the
Yep.
desk, I'm always like, oh, or you end up with scraps of paper, then you're lost.
Yep, Post-it notes everywhere and start falling off.
No good, no
Yep.
good. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny because I save those things and I don't have any good reason why until I look back from them. And it's almost like a journal because you can kind of, like, even though it's not, well, a lot of it's not even legible, but it kind of gives you an idea of where you were at.
Yeah.
Where's the headspace? What were you working on? Oh, yeah, this client had that fire, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting every once in a while to go back and be like, okay, you did a lot of stuff.
Well, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, I could imagine, too. Where
Absolutely.
it's like, yeah, I crushed it. Look at all these things. And it's that tangible representation of what's going on in your head.
I always feel like when I die, someone's going to come across those notebooks and be like, what is wrong with this guy?
Why did he save all of this?
The recycling bin is right there.
A notebook hoarder.
Yeah, there's worse things, I suppose.
Exactly.
Tell me, well, do you work specifically with women or do you target that demographic? Or okay.
So it's an interesting situation. I think Magic Wand, my ideal client, is more of this like professional woman.
Okay.
I love working with women who have a lot of potential. They're really driven. They're really motivated. And a lot of times they're moms too. So it kind of ends up being this executive mom. But I won an Instagram challenge at one point, and I got 5 consulting conversations with an Instagram specialist. And when I was discussing my niche with him, he's like, I've got to take my Instagram hat off, and I need to just tell you this. I'm a single dad. I need this information. So if you're only going towards women, I would have missed this, and I need this, and I want this. So that's when I opened it up to be a little bit broader, and I say the professional parent now. But I do think that there is something really unique and really beautiful about the way the woman's brain works. And I love helping them really get in control of that and really figure out how we can be excellent and really use our brain to its maximum potential without burning it out, without wearing it out, without, hurting ourselves and those around us. How can we actually tap into the potential of the wiring of our brain and the neuroscience behind it? So I would say that the executive woman is much more my passion, if you will.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I feel like some guys may not admit that they need help. And I feel like some women, well, there's probably some women that wouldn't admit that either.
Right. I think asking for help is inherently a difficult thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
It's very challenging. I can tell for myself. I used to do business coaching way back when. And it's one of those things where I would have a hard time asking for help.
Yeah.
Even, I guess there would reach a threshold.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I'm drowning here. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's somebody smarter than me that could help give me some guidance.
Yeah.
Sometimes just a boot to the butt to get you going kind of thing. But tell me about the presentations you do. You said you're a keynote speaker.
I am.
All
yeah.
right. Tell me about that.
So I have recently started sharing more of my story. I have a unique background where I've been an executive for quite a long time and been in the professional corporate space for a very long time. But I had a really pretty devastating season of life where I went through an identity crisis and I lost the thing that I thought was my identity, which I was a marathon runner at the time.
Okay.
And I lost my running. And as a result of going through this identity crisis, I found the company that I'm now certified to coach, Flowsys.
Okay.
Yep. And it helped me determine who I am intrinsically. It helped me start working through my triggers, my mental health issues, my anxiety, my burnout, depression. And as I started getting a hold of my thought process, and then I was starting to help my boys at home, and I saw the huge impact it was having in our house. That was when I knew I needed to become a coach. And so I went and I became certified to teach the information. So through my speaking, I share about my breaking journey and essentially how I went from being this executive woman who thought I was crushing life to someone who had to really face this mask that I had curated to show the world, and it wasn't who I truly was. Yes, I was a professional. Yes, and I was executive, and I was good at those things, and that has not changed. But I wasn't doing it from a place of authenticity. I was really struggling with imposter syndrome, really struggling with lack of confidence, and trying to be who I thought everyone needed and wanted me to be, and not being true to who I was. And that was hurting a lot of people around me because I came off as very inauthentic, and I didn't have the tools or resources to communicate in a healthy way. So talking about contradictions, I'm judging people for how they're communicating with me, yet I am basically abusing people with how I communicate because now I know how the mind and brain works. If we're not, the brain doesn't have a zero state. It's either getting healthier or it's getting unhealthier with every interaction.
Okay.
Exactly. So there's no neutral state. So if we use that as our standard, and I'm certainly not helping anyone, it could be classified as abuse. And so I had to start rewiring my brain and relearning how to communicate and how to work with these tools and resources. So I share my story on stage, and then I help the individuals in the audience. My keynotes are a little bit more interactive than a traditional keynote where we just stand and deliver. Mm-hmm. I bring worksheets. I have them take the intangible driver quiz. I help them determine who they are intrinsically, their uniqueness, help them start to figure out how to put that into practice and use it at their table. And it's done through my story and it's done through my lens, but then I share stories about my husband and my children, clients that I coach. So I have that one where I focus on mental wellness through leading through your uniqueness. I have one that focuses on conquering our triggers and overcoming depression. And I have one on communication transformation. So really focusing on tools and resources that you can use to intentionally help you know if this interaction is healthy or not. Am I using the healthy communication? Are you using the healthy communication? Are we profitable in our interactions? Because we are. So I introduce a lot of different tools that help people be intentional and to know that they're in a healthy space and they're helping facilitate the mental health of others with how they interact.
All right. I want to dig into something if you don't mind.
Okay.
Safe place here.
Let's do it.
So I have met, like just through networking and stuff like that, you just meet people in business all the time. And I have found some people that I feel like they have this wall or they're trying to be something that you can just tell that they're not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sound sexist here. I don't mean to, but I see that more with women than I do with men. I certainly see it with some men as well. Usually newer business owners, stuff like that, where they're trying to put the front on. But there are some very successful women that I know. You could even look politically that you can just tell that they're trying to fake something that I felt like if they were more authentic or even arguably more feminine, they could probably rule the world, really. But they're not. And they have this, it reminds me of like the Devil Wears Prada kind of thing.
Sure.
Where that's just like very on top of the world woman, but nobody wants to be anywhere near her because they're afraid that she's just going to kill them, really.
Sure.
So have you seen that? Or it sounds like you work with people in that realm, or maybe even you were at one time?
I was, and I do work with women in that space.
Okay.
The thing that I see with this, and I'm sure there's more to it, I do believe there's more to it, but one of the big things is this self-esteem. Confidence in your uniqueness. Confidence in your unique value. And when we don't know our uniqueness and we don't know our value, how can we be confident in it? So then we start trying to be confident in our skills. We start to be confident in our accomplishments. We start to be confident in all of these external things, hoping that all these external awards, degrees, accolades will help me intrinsically feel confident. And it doesn't. That's the mask that I wore. And that was part of my breaking process, was realizing when I lost running, which was my biggest crutch, if you will, the thing that I felt most confident in, I realized and I had to start facing that I was inauthentic in every area of my life. I would say so.
Wow.
I felt like a failure with mothering, with being a parent. I always thought there should be an owner's manual, and I was always mad that there wasn't. And now that I know this information, I'm like, this is definitely the closest thing there's ever going to be to an owner's manual. But yeah, working through, in business, just having to show up physically a certain way, be a certain level of polished and professionalism. And there's just higher expectations of a woman in the business space, that she show up and look and speak and act a certain way to be worthy to be in the room. To be worthy to be listened to be worthy to be accepted in that space, and to be credible. And so that is a lot of ways that's an unconscious thing in business among the genders.
Okay.
However, women really own that, and they kind of double down on that, especially when they have the skills and they know they've earned the way to be in the room. Instead of leaning on that knowledge and knowing that they're empowered to be in that space, there is a lot of the extra expectations that they put on themselves, and really learning themselves and dissolving that imposter syndrome from building up that self-esteem is really what I find to be the thing that frees women from that mental bondage, if you will. Okay. I'm working with a woman right now. She's a VP, and she is up to be the CEO of her organization.
Nice.
She's absolutely incredible. Her uniqueness is something called server. So she fills needs in order to fill the needs. Because there's 7 intangible drivers, and you put 7 and 7 together, she can be 49 different versions of herself.
Wow.
So she is crushing the needs everywhere. But the thing she struggled with was to know, who is she in the midst of these 49 different versions of herself? How does she show up to truly be authentic and to show up in that space? So we have spent the past 6 months really one-on-one coaching. I met her from a keynote speaking conversation.
Okay.
It was on uniqueness and mental health. And she came up to me, and we started coaching the week after. And she has experienced a complete transformation. Showing up, knowing that she has value, knowing that her experience matters, knowing that if someone doubts her, that doesn't mean she doesn't have value. That's the issue with low self-esteem or no self-esteem, is that when someone criticizes us, we believe it.
Okay.
When someone tells us we're amazing, we believe it. That's the issue, is that we don't have an inherent knowledge and belief and confidence in that uniqueness outside of what other people believe and project on us. So that's that building up of that internal strength, is that self-esteem, is knowing who I am, living that out, and being confident in that. That's how you build self-esteem. And her self-esteem has skyrocketed, and it's completely transformed her marriage, her role as a mother, her role in this organization. We'll see if I'm right on this, but I feel pretty confident that she's going to be the number one selection for this role, because she has just gone through a complete transformation of growing in her confidence, and she knows her voice matters. And if people don't value that, she feels bad for them.
Fair. Oh, it's a great place to be in.
That's the measure of high self-esteem.
Yeah.
When you compliment me, do I feel good about myself, or do I feel good about you? Because you recognize the value that I know to be true within me.
Fair.
That's that measure of high self-esteem, and that's where she's at. So it doesn't matter if people are criticizing her, or that negative criticism anymore, because she knows her value.
Yeah, that is cool. Knowing your value is huge.
Huge.
And you don't need that external someone to validate you.
Exactly. Or all the awards or accolades or degrees.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you more valuable.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Tell me a story about you as far as the trigger for when you realized that you needed a shift, or you realized, like, hey, something ain't right here. Was there a moment where you just looked in the mirror and said, what's up here? Or what happened?
The trigger for me,
for you to make the switch.
From what?
From not being authentic.
Oh gosh. So this is a story I first shared in April. So this
April this year.
April of this year.
All right, fresh one.
Fresh off the press. So I was at the peak of my career. I was in a really great spot professionally. Beautiful little boys, olive skin, brown eyes, little sandy hair, just such handsome, sweet boys. And I had the biggest house. I was running marathons, all of the external things that I thought would make me feel good about myself. And I had this beautifully curated mask, like I said. The issue for me was I was out on a run one day, and I was training for a marathon, and I was running on a trail near my house. It was a 20-mile run. So, all right, yeah, those of us who I'm not a runner anymore, so that sounds absurd to me now. But
no, I'm a
back
runner,
then,
but not a 20-mile runner.
Back then it was, normal for me.
Okay.
So I was on a trail. I was going to run 10 miles out and 10 miles back in. And at mile 7, there's a lot of things that happened, but basically my nervous system started shutting down, and I passed out on the path. Now, this is a wooded area. This is not I wouldn't say it's unsafe, but it's secluded. It's very much in the middle of the country, middle of nowhere, and you pass people very infrequently. It's where people will take their dog for a few mile walk, or they burn off steam on a bike trail after work. So I am alone in this space in a very vulnerable position. And when I stood up and I got back to safety, I had to start facing the fact that I was probably losing something that I very much cared about. And it was about a year journey of me losing running. I went through a lot of other health issues related to it. My body broke out in these full body spots, if you will. And I just found pictures the other day of it was not more than an inch of space on my skin from my neck to my toes where I didn't have spots. And what was going on is I'm in the middle of this really difficult divorce. I'm in this corporate space. I'm maintaining this mask constantly. And when I would push myself physically and run, it was pushing my body beyond its physical limit. It was beyond its capacity. And so it started shutting down. And
so that was a symptom, not a cause.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the effect of what was going on internally, which was really this extreme stress that my body was under. And it came out in running. And so on the professional side of things, though, I had just taken over a team and a department at the organization I was working at. I was at a global software company. I was ready to level everything up. And I was exploring all of my options, different companies that I could possibly partner with to bring in different training and resources when I found Flowsys. And so I had started coaching because I wanted to go through it myself to really kind of test it out to see, because I'm already certified to teach these different insights discovery, so 360 feedback and personality tests and all these different things. So I'm already certified to teach and train that information. So I really wanted to know, is this one different? Because what I had found so far was not, and it was not turning the needle. Yeah, it wasn't moving the needle. So as I was going through it, I started experiencing some pretty profound transformation in my life. It started putting words to feelings that I had about who I am and who I was intrinsically from as early as I can remember, and started realizing why I felt so frustrated in certain situations, why I felt so misunderstood in certain situations, why I felt so empowered, so excited, so energized. And so it really started helping me work through these different challenges around my uniqueness in this imposter syndrome and self-esteem. Then I started going through the mental health piece of it, started getting down and figuring out these triggers. Why do I want to just rage out when I feel disrespected? Why do I just want to rage out when someone tells me to take it down a notch, when someone tells me I'm too much? Why do I started really getting down to the root of these mental and emotional triggers where my brain has a lot of trauma or damage. So I really started unpacking a lot of these different issues and healing and dissolving these areas in my life. And as I started going through this transformation, I started bringing it home. And my boys were not in a good spot mentally and emotionally either, because let's face it, our kids in a lot of ways reflect what they see. They reflect
Absolutely.
what they're taught firsthand. It's an unconscious way of helping people.
Yeah, you're teaching them.
You're
yeah.
teaching them. And so my children were in a lot of ways reflecting how I showed up at home, and I showed up towards them. So they were yelling and they were angry and they were not happy and not healthy.
Cycle.
Exactly.
Because then you get more frustrated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as the parent, as the leader, I'm the one who should be stopping the cycle. I need to be the one to own that and to change, and then to help facilitate their change. So it begins with me. It begins with all of us as the parent. As I began healing, I was able to start helping them. And that was the big change. You know, I remember vividly sitting at my desk one day, and I got a call from the principal from my son's school, and he was in second grade. He had not beat up, but he was involved with kind of attacking a fifth grader on the playground. And the kids, they were second grade. They didn't know what they were doing, but they were a part of a gang, you know, and the Scorpions or something like that. And I remember vividly going through and having this deep shame and this internal sense of like horror. Like, how could this happen? How could my son be this bully and hurt someone else like this? And as we started working through this, I started having to face the fact that bullying is a taught behavior. It's a learned behavior. And where were they learning that? Me.
Uh-oh.
I was a bully. And as I started getting to the root of these issues that caused me to go into this bullying state, and where did I learn bullying and all of that, and really healing my pain and baggage and damage, I was able to start helping them do the same. And now I'm happy to report both my 15 and 13-year-old are leaders in their school, and they have been for years. And it's been a beautiful thing to see the transformation. Just got an email from my son. He'll be going into 8th grade, that he's been acknowledged and recognized as a leader in the school, and they want him on this leadership team.
Oh, that's cool.
It's amazing. And so it's like being able to help facilitate that for my family has been the biggest blessing.
Beats a call saying that your kid got in a fight, right?
Right. Yeah, but it's really cool, because as a parent, I think we want nothing more than to help set up our kids for success. We want nothing more than to see them living their best life.
That's our job.
But it's a really hard thing to acknowledge that if they're not set up for success, how much of a role did I play in that?
Right.
And did I take the time to get healthy to be able to truly facilitate them into the best version of themselves? Because I'm firm believer it begins with us as parents, and the journey begins with us, and that's where the healing of a family begins.
Got it.
The turning point was losing my running all of that. And
tell me a story about that, because it sounds like that was an effect, not a cause.
Yeah.
So could you go back to running now?
I probably could.
Okay, but?
I think in hindsight, exercise was very much a lot of my life.
Okay.
And I think it's because I would flow when I exercised.
I totally get that.
Got down to one thought, and nothing else mattered. I shut off mom mode. I shut off work mode. I shut off girlfriend, wife, partner, friend, daughter, shut it all off. And it was just this, me and the next rep, me and the next rep. And I was very passionate about exercise. Before I actually became a FlowSys certified trainer, I was looking at becoming a personal trainer because I had such a positive emotion to exercising. Mm-hmm. But I realized after I worked through that, it was just because I wanted to help people. And it's like, well, I can help them physically as a personal trainer, or I can help them mentally, emotionally, and for some people spiritually as an executive coach and as the speaker. So that's the route that I chose, as I decided I want to have a long-lasting impact on someone's mental and emotional state. Someone else can help them with the personal training. Right. I want to be a part of this piece over here. But that was the big thing for me was, I think I could run again because I know how to flow now. I can flow in any situation because I know my unique process for it. So I could absolutely go back to it. I'm just not sure that I want to.
That's fair.
As a woman in my 40s, I weightlift and I walk, and I'm more focused on what are those benefits, long-term benefits versus the aesthetic of being skinny or, super lean. That was very much my vibe. Again, going back to the self-esteem thing, I put a lot of value in how I looked physically and externally. Now, I know that's not my value. I want to be healthy. So I focus on my nutrition. I focus on weightlifting and walking. And I just look to add value in other areas of my life. The exercise is just a hurdle now. That's not where I'm putting my energy. Those aren't the drivers for me.
Gotcha.
The drivers are the mental, emotional, and spiritual side.
Gotcha. Fair. I guess from a person that works out to a person that works out.
Yeah.
I love, oh my gosh, when you're in the gym and you're lifting.
Feels so good.
Yeah, nothing. I guess I remember thinking, like, if all the businesses fail and everything just goes to hell, whatever, as long as I have a few weights, I'm good.
I can get through anything.
I'm good. Or a pair of running shoes. Like, I run, not marathons. God, I did a half marathon one time and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it's intense.
I didn't train, so I thought 13 miles, I'm just taking a couple
big
miles
deal.
and multiplying it. That was not the route to go.
Hey, I have known more than one person that's done that, so you're not alone.
Oh my gosh, that was so dumb. It was so dumb. But it was also one of those things where you're like, training, I can run. But just the time, like 20 miles, that's not a 5-minute run.
Nope.
You're
It's
talking,
a commitment.
That's a couple
3
hours?
hours?
3 hours?
Depends on how fast you run. I'm not
Let's
a fast
just call
runner.
it 3 hours. That's 3 hours,
Yeah.
and that's one run. Now
Yep.
you can do that a few times a week. That's a part-time job, man.
Yep. And there was a season of time where I was running a half marathon every single weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, whether it be at a race or on my own, just literally put in
Okay.
3.1 and go.
Huh.
I would figure out these routes. I would write them on my hand, and I would hold my water and have it in my little gel pack and just
that's
go.
awesome.
Left on this road, right on this road.
All right.
Go.
Yeah, I guess to me, running is meditative. I don't even listen
Yeah.
to music or anything. You
Oh,
just
wow.
get in the zone. I have an old dog now. When she was a young dog, I had to keep up with her. So she was motivation, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's super cool. But
Aw.
now I have to go on a short run with her and then bring her home, give her a treat, and then I got to go on a longer
Then
run.
you get to finish.
Yeah.
Refresh yourself, get your drink of water.
Yeah, but it's cool because you get, I don't know, it's neat, I suppose, with working out of any kind or even being in the zone of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
You think back, like, where was I that last 10 minutes?
Yep.
And you weren't.
That's flow.
You weren't consciously thinking about it. You were just doing it.
That's flow.
That's
Flow is when
amazing.
you're down to that one thought and your confidence in the right spot, your challenge is in the right spot, your focus is in the right spot. And you're able to lock in uniquely for yourself and you can go. And people's best experiences, their best memories, most of the time, I'd venture to say they were flowing.
All right.
And so it's like you have these great experiences flowing. We know the benefits of flow. You even mentioned the book about flow, but no one knows how to do it intentionally. How awesome would it be if you could have that mental and emotional euphoric experience in anything you choose to have it in, not just with running, not just with working out.
To be able to flip a switch, be like, I want to be in flow.
Ready? We're going to go.
That would be
Live a
pretty
flow
incredible.
life.
Yeah. Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
It is? Tell me more. Tell me more. You
No.
have me intrigued.
Oh, it's fascinating. So this is something that we focus on. I joke my husband's a flow guy. He's just, he is very intuitive. He very much flows because, again, he knows his process for how to do that uniquely. And he just steps into it really naturally. I'm a little bit more conscious brain, so I tend to be a little bit more intense. And therefore, I tend to try to max out my brain, my 5 thoughts. I tend to hang out in that 3 to 4 to 5 thought range all the time. I'm running multiple businesses. I've got 4 kids. I manage our home. I oversee all of the details and components of that. So I very much have to very intentionally get down to one thought to then get my confidence in the right spot and my challenge and my focus to flow. But yeah, I mean, I was just writing a speech last week that I delivered over the weekend. And one of the issues I was having about writing it was that my confidence wasn't in the right spot with it.
Oh.
And once I got my confidence in the right spot, I realized, oh, my focus isn't in the right spot. And so I got that in the right spot. And then challenge was already locked in because I have enough experience with this. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. I was able to lock in, and I wrote the speech in like a day and a half.
All right.
After dealing and like looping on it for weeks, I was able to lock in, get the vision I needed, and step into it. But that's part of the process of knowing myself. Because I know myself, I know my uniqueness, I have a personal vision statement where I know how I uniquely add value to the world. What do I need to come towards me from other people or the circumstances? What's the effect I want to have, and how do I bring that? Because of this model that I utilize and Flosis has, I am able to step into that intentionally. If I know I'm missing a piece, I can go seek that out. I share that with my husband. I'm really struggling. I need this missing piece. I need someone to collaborate with. I need vision. I need whatever. Instead of me just fumbling and struggling forever on it, he can either provide that for me or point me to someone. I have 2 mentors. I am a mentor to multiple people. I have really close friendships with other people, and I know the value they give me, and I know the value I give them. So I can reach out and just say, hey, Heather, hey, Laura, hey, John, I need some help. Can you walk me through this? Can you walk through this situation with me? And without fail, they're able to do that. My husband's best friend is Rob, and I, without fail, will run my talks through Rob. He's small picture. I'm someone who's bigger picture. So he helps me get in the details where I'm struggling. He's really good at isolating out the issue. Like you were saying, what's the cause? What's the root issue here? And he helps me figure out the issue that's holding me back, gives me clarity, gives me vision. I go. And it's like, so when I'm struggling to make progress on stuff, I've got my team, and I reach out and I ask for help, like we're talking about. It's hard, but now I know I'm better. It's a we, not me mentality. It's like, if I think I have to do this on my own, it's only ever going to be, to this level at best.
Right.
I want things to be awesome. And they can be awesome when it's we, not me. When I lean into the strengths of other people and I collaborate and I see it as a system project versus just a Molly project. And I bring in the strengths of others to make it awesome.
Fair. I love that saying. I want things to be awesome. That is not too much to ask, Molly. I love that. Tell me, you said you shifted your confidence. Mm-hmm. So how? What is the trigger to know your confidence is low, and then what do you do to bump your confidence up?
Well, there's 3 different levels of self-esteem. There's no self-esteem, low, mid, and high. There's ways of measuring it. One of the ways that I like to measure is, how do people handle tension? So if you have no self-esteem and you experience tension, do you actually look to create tension in others, almost like a destructive approach or thought process? If tension comes towards you, the low self-esteem approach would be to avoid it, like the head in the sand ostrich.
Ignore it, it'll go away.
Yeah, like it's just going to go away if I don't think about it, right? Denial. The next level would be like the no pain, no gain. Like, I'm just going to muscle through this thing. We're just going to crush this tension. And then it's going to be Mai Tais after that. We're just going to all release, all play. Well, the best approach would be, or the healthiest to high self-esteem would be, how can I actually let more of my uniqueness out, in this situation? And like I'd also shared earlier, another way of measuring it is when someone compliments you or criticizes you, mm-hmm. What's your response? Am I looking to take them down? Am I looking to make it, take down my competition, try to make my competition look bad and, go that direction? Am I looking to just completely ignore them? And if I get criticized, I wallow for days and it's so hard to get out of that. Think about Instagram or YouTube comments, and if I get a negative comment, does it just crush my self-esteem, crush my opinion of myself? Do I take a long time to get out of that?
Hope not.
Oh, yeah. Man, right. You got to be open and be okay with that feedback. And then, or again, that mid-level is, you compliment me and I think I'm awesome. I feel great. I'm euphoric now because you think I'm awesome. It means I must be awesome. Versus that high level, again, is where you compliment me and I think you're awesome. I think you're great. I look up to you because you recognize the value that I know to be true in myself.
All right. You were cool enough to be aware of how awesome I am.
Exactly. You got it.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell me what I want to ask you next. You're on a personal side.
Yeah.
You had that mask, mm-hmm. and you were at a position. Now you're your own boss.
I am.
Are you still at that position?
No.
Or did you grow to the point where you're like, peace out?
So the company went through a massive acquisition. So there was I think they grew 7x. And so it was a huge experience. And they did some mass layoffs, and I was a part of that.
Oh,
so
ouch.
It actually was kind of a cool thing.
Blessing in disguise. I get it, right?
My husband and I look back on that time, and I think even from the beginning, I felt great about it. I had a really good leader at the time. She cared about me. She really saw the value that I brought the organization. She put me in a lot of opportunities and situations to grow professionally and really grow my skills, grow my ability, give me a lot of visibility within the organization, so I was able to provide more value. So I had a really great emotion towards her. So that layoff in itself was actually kind of a cool experience because I had been part of some of the layoffs, like laying off other people, and I had a gut feeling I was going to be a part of it. And I had come to terms with it. So I was in a place where I was ready mentally, emotionally. My husband and I had a feeling it was going to happen. So when it did, it was like, okay, what do we do from here? I had actually started my business. The layoff was in July 2021. I'd started my business November 2020.
Oh, nice. You had some runway.
I already had a business going because I had a presence on LinkedIn. People were reaching out to me and contacting me to speak. So I was already speaking. I was already coaching, but I would take PTO, or I would do it on nights or on weekends or in the mornings or lunch, so that it never interfered with my job. So when it happened, it was like, all right, go time. Like now I just get to not take PTO and work ridiculous hours. Now I can be a little bit more in control of my schedule. And I think what was cool about it too is it gave me more autonomy. Working within that organization is that I really had to filter the teaching. I designed, developed, and implemented leadership development throughout the organization. So helping new leaders come into the organization, leveling them up as managers, helping them understand the culture, the expectations, how to lead teams, how to facilitate difficult conversations, OKRs, one-on-ones, all the businessy stuff. And then I helped develop leaders in their current roles. How can we level you up within your position? How can we help level your teams up? So I was already doing all of that within the organization, but it was through the organization's lens and through the way they needed or wanted it to be. When it was just my business, I had a lot more autonomy, obviously. It could be whatever I wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And now everything I do is filtered through Flowsys. Flowsys it's 100% the game changer. It's where people experience transformation. Try to tell me how we can be the best versions of ourselves if we don't even know who we are. Tell me how I can try to be the best version of myself if I don't even know why I'm depressed. How can I be the best version of myself if I trigger on a team member, if I trigger with my spouse, if I'm not in control of my own mental and emotional state? How can I, truly show up and be healthy and healed in those positions and whole? So that's really what I focus on, is how can I help facilitate the whole person? And then regardless of the context, work, volunteering, home life, how can you show up and be that whole healthy version of yourself, no matter where you show up?
Oh, I love it. That's incredible. That is super cool. How, I guess, is the majority of what you're doing speaking, or is it one-on-one coaching, or?
So my consulting, my consulting business is really focused on, I want to start putting more time into keynote speaking.
Okay.
I had a coaching client one day at 11 o'clock, and it was an incredible conversation. We had a breakthrough. She really started to see some areas that were holding her back. We gave her some great tools. She was excited to go start using them. And 2 hours later, I was in front of a crowd of 100 people. And I was like, I'm helping facilitate that for 100 people now. Sure. So I think the keynote piece is where I really would like to spend more time, just for the opportunity to help more people. That's what I love to do. I'm building out an online course as well to help facilitate people after the conversations that we have. It's all on uniqueness. So I want people to become masters of themselves. How can you know who you are, and how can you know your spouse? How can you connect with your kids? I know each one of my kids' uniquenesses, and they know mine. We're on the way to an event yesterday, and my oldest looked at me and goes, Mom, are you okay? And I was like, I'm running at 5 thoughts, feeling a little overwhelmed. He's like, yeah, it seems like something's up. Do you want to get some thoughts out with me? Do you want to share or process?
This is a 15-year-old kid?
As a 15-year-old.
Wow.
That's a man moment. That is him being a man, just 100% being about me, regardless of what he gets from the interaction. Mm-hmm. And that is, an opportunity for me to realize I'm not showing up as my best self. So this is where I can be a better leader and a better parent. And I know I can shift gears and be more in this moment and let go of some of those other thoughts that I'm holding on to. But this is also where I can acknowledge him and build him up to help him see that he's being a man. He's doing the causes and acting like a man. So I think we have some great opportunities to help facilitate our children. So I want to do that more in speaking and help parents and leaders lead teams where everyone knows their uniqueness. Everyone's showing up as mentally and emotionally healthy so that we can create these generative cultures, generative teams, whether the team is at home, whether the team is at work. We can facilitate that with the right information and the right tools.
Nice.
And I do that with workshops too. I'll have organizations bring me in and do like a 4-part workshop where we do communication transformation. We do a uniqueness, really uncovering and unpacking that. We do mental health. We do flow. We do all these different things. And then flow, I really like to unlock that in a one-on-one setting.
Okay.
That I reserve flow coaching for one-on-one because it's very personalized and it's very unique to the individual, and I want to make sure that they really lock in their unique space so that they can maximize their own potential.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Tell me, so this is going to sound like a stupid question, at least in my head it does, but from a one-on-one with the flow thing, how long are we talking? Is this an hour, 5 hours? It seems like a deep thing, but on the other side, it's like, it's no big deal.
So, well, I'm of the opinion that, again, like I mentioned earlier, you can't flow if you don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. So we need to kind of lay some groundwork, and we need to get to a spot where you're mentally resilient before we can start stepping into flow. One of the elements of flow is that you're resilient. So we have to build up a foundation. So I actually have I call it executive flow leadership coaching program. You don't have to be an executive to take it. You just have to be someone who is willing to put in the work to grow. And it really leans in deep and intense into all of these foundational pieces. So if you're in a hole, we can get you out of a hole. And how do we stay out of a hole? That's so like the whole getting resilient and maintaining your resilience. And I define resiliency as your ability to maintain your thought process, regardless of what's going on around you. If that's circumstances or people trying to take you down, you can stand strong.
No glitching.
No glitching. You're able to maintain your mental health and your mental thought process.
All right.
So that's a required foundation to then get to flow. And that's a 20-week coaching program.
20 weeks?
20 weeks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's a full transformation.
Okay.
It is a full transformation.
Fair. I was like,
and it's customized and tailored to the individual.
Okay.
So we work on your unique situation. What are the things that are holding you back personally, professionally? One of my favorite things that I work with individuals, I was coaching a director at this incredible community down in Florida. It's the only community built on a coral reef. It's a really cool thing.
Oh.
Yeah, some people will refer to it as Disneyland for billionaires. And I was coaching one of the executives on that team, and she came to me with the 5 goals that she wanted to work on for why we were coaching together.
Okay.
3 of them were personal. She's like, I've been social stalking you. I found out you're a marriage coach and a parent coach too. I know I hired you for executive coaching, but can you help me with my marriage and with my kids? I was like, absolutely, let's do it. 3 of the 5 goals were personal. And that just goes to show that I can help people with the whole person. That's the goal. Who are you as an individual? Let's help you there get healthy. And then we can apply that to any context. That can be work at home, volunteering again, any of those contexts. So it's really fun. In the matter of, so when she came to me, 3 of the goals were she wasn't talking with her mom. Her and her mom had been estranged. Her and her husband were good, but she knew there was something that could be better there. And her daughter, she had a 12-year-old daughter who had recently gotten a cell phone, would come home from school and shut herself in her room until dinner. And after dinner, she would do her required chores and she would go back in her room. And she stayed there. She had no relationship with her daughter. And she knew there was something missing. So what do? We help my client learn her own uniqueness. So she starts to see why she is being held back, why she's feeling frustrated with different interactions. Where does she get energy? What are her opportunities? And then we start working through all of these other issues around communication. Is she communicating in the healthiest way possible? Does she admit when she's wrong? That's a key thing. Does she know how to repair when she makes a mistake? Because we're all humans. We're not meant to be perfect. Why are we chasing perfection? It's not actually helping us when we're going that direction. If we can just embrace the fact that we're not perfect and own our mistakes, we're so much more profitable. If we just simply say, I'm wrong, and repair. So as she started doing this, she started repairing with her daughter. And what she started doing is, because she knows how to communicate in a healthy way now, she started asking these questions that allowed her daughter to be seen and to be known and to feel heard and safe. And she started creating and fostering a safe, healthy, collaborative environment. And her daughter started coming out of her room. By the end of our coaching, her daughter and her were setting up a 3-time-a-week session. They called it Gossip Hour, where she would leave work an hour early and then work an hour after the kids went to bed. And she would go get her daughter, and they would go for a walk, or they would go to a coffee shop or do something together, and they would just talk. Her daughter would download everything about her day and all the challenges she was having with friends, or things she felt about boys, or whatever the things she was going through, and it was just this safe place. By the end, she was repaired her relationship with her mother to the point that her mother was coming over weekly for dinner. Wow. Her and her husband were exploring becoming marriage coaches. And her daughter and her had completely transformed their relationship, on top of the fact that she was up for a promotion at work. And later, even I'm like getting goosebumps as I'm talking about this. Later, 2 months after our coaching, she got that job. She got that promotion.
Wow.
And so it just goes to show that it's one thing to have the information. It's one thing to have a coach that can deliver it. But if you're not willing to put in the work, you're not going to experience transformation. Totally. And so she had this complete mental and emotional and even physical transformation. She asked me at one point, she's like, is this a diet program? Because I've lost 5 pounds. I was like, no, it just goes to show that your physical is coming and improving because of your mental and emotional state. You're learning how to flow in all of these other areas, that you're not being bogged down and distracted, and you're able to actually make intentional progress in all of these areas of your life.
As stress comes down, your body's able to take care of itself better.
Yep.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because when I was doing business coaching, it was rare, extremely rare, that it wouldn't turn into or lean into a life coaching session. And I remember, I want to say it was the second or third client that I had. She ended up in tears mentioning that she was going to get a divorce. And I remember thinking, oh no, I'm a business coach. But I'm like, I can't just leave this woman all broken like this. So I'm like, all right, we got a whiteboard here. Let's figure this out. And that happened way more often than I anticipated. Way more often.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's who you are.
It's one life, right? So,
exactly. It's like, just because you show up in a context doesn't mean that you're not still a human being. That's the beauty of businesses that operate according to this information and use this information, are truly able to create these generative cultures where they bring their employees bring their whole selves to work. That's where they're going to experience that fulfillment, and that's where organizations receive the benefit of lower attrition and more innovation, a creative environment, and they truly get to be these leaders in their industry. It's because they're honoring the whole person, not just this one piece of them. I'm a firm believer that individuals that show up to work without energy, because of all these personal things that we're talking about, take. But if you show up to work with energy, you give.
Fair.
So that's how can we teach people the principles so that regardless of the context, they're whole and healthy.
I love it. Tell me a story about you helping someone, let's say either gender, right? And you're helping them advance in just the way they are, right? Business, professional, life, all that kind of stuff. And the spouse doesn't necessarily either like it or doesn't think that they can keep up, and feels, I don't know if shunned is the right word, but left behind. I think you know what I mean.
I do.
Okay, tell me about that.
Can I clarify what I think you mean?
Please.
It's like, so when you say shunned or left behind, do you mean like they're like almost like jealous, like they want that same thing, or where there might be holding them back?
Not holding the spouse back, but you see people grow.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are like, I want to take you down because I want you to be at my level, versus just like, I want to go with you.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some spouses that I see that want to hold back.
Yeah.
Or why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So tell me about that.
Ooh, I've had a couple of those. So
I
I appreciate you saying that and sharing that. It's this whole like, when you're married, you're connected, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you sharing everything that you have, are, and do, right? And so it's like you are very much connected. So if one person's not growing, that's going to limit the growth of the other person. So they can only grow to a certain degree. I've had this. There's this woman that I know very well, and she's decided to just grow regardless if her spouse is on board or not. And I've had it, so I'll use two different examples. One is where the spouse is not on board and actually trying to hold her back. He is quite literally opposing everything. I'm not going to use the communication guidelines. I don't care to know who I am. I don't need you talking to me this certain way. I very almost aggressive about her not using that information. And she feels very unsafe because she has learned about her triggers and she's looking to get in control of her mental and emotional health. And she's starting to see where all of his triggers are, right? We see the behavior of others a lot faster and sooner than we see it in ourselves, right? Fair. So others will see our behavior before we see it ourselves. So, she's seeing all of this dysfunction and these challenges in their relationship. And it did absolutely hold her back because she allowed it to, I believe. At the end of the day, she could choose to just continue using the information with or without his support. She can continue to know her triggers. She can continue to use healthy communication. She doesn't need him to also do that. And then I have this other individual that I know very well, and she has chosen to just live her authentic life and chosen to surround herself with community and to continue growing and to continue going along. And just recently, her husband joined a gathering that she was at, and he's slowly actually starting to come around to it because he sees how genuine and sincere she is, and he sees that she's doing it for his benefit and really cares about him. And she's not trying to change him per se, but she does want what's best for him. So she's going to be the best version of herself and support being as healthy as she can be around him. And when he's being unhealthy or, dare I say, abusive, like under the terms that we've discussed, she'll confront him in a healthy way. She'll use the tools that I teach, that I train, and confront him. Do you think that that's for my benefit when you speak to me that way? Would it be okay with you if I spoke to you that way? Do you think I feel more safe or less safe when you communicate in that way? So just using it in a very loving, kind, caring way, but then she's sharing everything she's thinking and feeling every 48 hours.
Calling the spouse out.
Yeah, and she's keeping her mental health in a healthy place, and she's surrounding herself with other healthy people so that she's not doing it alone.
Fair.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So confronting in a healthy way is huge. And that's part of that growth. We grow through confrontation. We grow through tension. If we're just avoiding it or trying to, get away from it, we're not going to experience that growth. So we have to be willing to embrace that tension to grow.
Diamonds are made under pressure, right?
There you go.
I love it. Molly, I would love to talk to you for another 7 hours or so, but we're limited on time here. So how can people find you?
They can find me at mollyhildebrandt.com.
All right.
They can also find me on Instagram at @the_Molly_Hildebrandt.
Tell me a story about the. Everybody puts a the in front of it, and I have to apologize. I'm not an Instagram guy, even though apparently I should be. You're I'm going to say at least fourth person in a row.
Well, so I'm I'm a business coach, right?
Yeah.
So I love consistency. I love processes for everything. And I want my Instagram handle to be, or I want my social handles to all be uniform and all be the same. So I'm at the Molly Hildebrandt on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on all the different social platforms. Different variations of my name, Molly.Hildebrandt or Molly _ like all of those were taken on this platform, but not on this one, but not on this one. Okay. I wanted it to be the same on all of them. So the allowed me to have it be the same on all of them.
Make it happen. Okay.
Make it happen.
That makes sense. I guess it didn't even dawn on me that Hildebrandt is not exactly Smith, but I suppose it's not rare.
Yeah.
So fair. Well, Molly, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is cool. I can keep running down this road for a long time.
Me too.
This is cool. We'll have to do it again.
I love it.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're watching or listening to this on the web, which you probably are, if you could do us a huge favor, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, share it with your entrepreneurial friends. oh my gosh, we got pretty much everyone here. People that don't necessarily flow, people that need to know how to flow, help me out here. There's probably a laundry list.
Those that want to improve their mental health, those that want to unlock their limitless energy, those that want to be more authentic and live a confident life.
If you haven't checked those boxes, you're probably in the wrong podcast. That's fair. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Molly Hildebrandt of Hildebrandt Consulting. Molly, can you tell us the website one more time?
MollyHildebrandt.com.
I love it.
At the Molly Hildebrandt on Instagram.
At the Molly Hildebrandt. Awesome. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link found at drawInCustomers.com. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business. And Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available wherever fine books are sold.